Insperity presents the Small Business Advocate Show with Jim Blasingame, brought to you by FedEx, CareerBuilder.com, and Palo Alto Software. This is a copyrighted production of Small Business Network, Inc., all rights reserved.
Welcome back. 12 after the hour. Thank you very much for joining me. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'm Jim Blasingame, and you're listening to the Small Business Advocate Show, and I'm glad you're here. I'm excited about having our good buddy Joel Libava back on the show. Joel is one of our top franchise experts. Heck, he's the franchise king. That's what it says right here, the franchise king. Just kidding. No, we know he is, and he's got a new book that's coming out real soon. I'm very excited about it for him. It's called Become a Franchise Owner. The Startup Guide to Lowering Risk, Making Money, and Owning What You Do. He's our good friend, Joel. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much. Great job on the title, by the way. Thank you.
Congratulations on that. Congratulations to you. I'm proud of you for getting your book out, and it's like birthing a baby. Writing a book is as close as a guy can ever come to birthing a baby, isn't it?
You know, I have to tell you, I enjoyed the process, but the last month or so, I was like, okay, anytime now, it's over.
Right. Yeah, let's get this wrapped up. Yeah. Again, with the, I'm sure that a lot of women can appreciate that. It's just like it's very similar, painful and joyful and all those things together. Hey, Joel, I want to ask you a question. There are a lot of people out there who tried to run their own business. They try to start to be just a complete raw entrepreneur, start from nothing, build something and make it happen. And for whatever reason, maybe it wasn't their fault, maybe they didn't have enough capital, for whatever reason, it's just not working out. It didn't work out or it's not working out. And they love the idea of being a business owner, but their model just didn't work. Are those people candidates for franchise, to buy a franchise?
You know, it's a great question, Jim. Some of them are. I've worked with a handful of small business owners over the years who, for whatever reason, maybe their business failed. A lot of things can happen to a small business, obviously, and especially if it's a rather, shall we say, choppy economy. And what I found is if I really get to know them and make sure that they understand exactly what it is that they're getting into, which will be a total 360 to what they're used to, then they can do okay. I would say maybe 15 to 20% of existing independent business owners can transfer their skills to be a franchisee.
What would be the impediment?
The impediment is I'm used to doing things my own way, darn it, and I want to continue to do so.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggie.
So if they haven't come to terms with themselves, with the fact that their own ability to run a business, to build a business model that works, if they haven't reconciled the fact that this probably was something they did and they don't have the answer, then they're probably not a good candidate for a franchise. But if they've said, okay, I tried it, I couldn't make it happen, I still want to run my own show, but I need some help. If they can get to that point, maybe they're a candidate.
Yeah. It's like you and I, Jim. You know, how much pain would we have to be in to leave what we're doing and go actually work for someone else? What are the alternatives? The alternative is, well, maybe a franchise because, darn it, I don't want to work for someone anymore. I've done this too long.
Right.
I don't want a boss. So if I can open my mind and lose my ego a bit and say, well, maybe there's someone smarter than me that knows something better about business, maybe I'll follow them and use their blueprint.
Is that the biggest problem that franchisors have, is keeping their franchisees in line? Is that one of the biggest problems?
Yes and no. The really, really good franchisors the ones that have been around a long time and that understand that the revenue really comes from royalties and keeping franchisees happy increases royalties, those folks don't have as much of a problem with maverick franchisees because they have been very careful in how they've gone about choosing them.
Right.
No surprises. The ones that are not as careful, who see a $25,000 check for their franchisee staring them in the face and don't have the courage to say, you know what, you're just not right for us, are the ones that are going to have a headache 6 months down
It takes
the line.
discipline and sticking to what you know will work long term to be able to pull that off, doesn't it?
And courage.
Yeah. And not being desperate for money.
Boy,
takes that too. But I'm sure that the idea though is once you get to a point where you know your model works, if you can choose the right people, success breeds success. And if one thing about you and me, Joel, if you and I were a franchise owner, and the model we had was making us money, we probably would swallow our own pride a little bit if we knew it was working, And
right.
So that's the key, isn't it?
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. All right.
So that's what you've got to do. Those are some of the things if you're in business and even if you're just questioning your own. You maybe what you're doing is okay, but it's not really doing well, and maybe now's the time to consider something. Like if you have a restaurant, for example, would a former restaurant owner be a good restaurant franchise prospect?
I would say more so than others because restaurant ownership, your role is such a fast-paced role. That even though you say you want to be really creative, you don't have that much time to be creative.
Right.
Because, you're dealing with hiring and firing and
right.
And all
you're busy making sure that they only put 15 French fries on the plate, not 16.
Yeah. So, restaurant owners can transition into franchising.
That would be probably the easiest, wouldn't it? Hey, Joel, new book, when's it coming out?
It is due out late fall.
Okay.
Late fall.
So we're going to keep you posted on that. It's called Become a Franchise Owner. And then there's a longer subtitle under that. And we're going to be talking to you more about that coming up in the weeks and months ahead. 20 after, we're going to talk more about becoming a franchise owner with the franchise king, Joel Libava. I'm Jim Blasingame. I'm merely your host. I'll be back after these messages. Stay with me.
As I was walking down the street one day, a man came up.
Insperity presents the Small Business Advocate Show with Jim Blasingame, brought to you by FedEx, CareerBuilder.com, and Palo Alto Software. This is a copyrighted production of Small Business Network, Inc., intended for the private use of our audience. Except as otherwise provided by copyright law, all other copying, redistribution, or publication without prior written consent is prohibited. All rights reserved. Prohibited. All rights reserved. Prohibited. All rights